Okay. Okay, we're good, boys, gentlemen. Boys. Okay. You can hear me?
Yes. Good.
Yeah, we're all good? Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, so I need, how are you doing, Howie? Baruch Hashem. Okay, good.
Very good. Good to see you.
Thank you, Baruch Hashem, right. I would like, I'm tomorrow, I have a certain operation that I need to do. In and of itself, it's not an especially complicated one, but it can affect speech. So please keep me in mind because, you know, I want to, you know, be able to get back to teaching as quickly as possible. So Mitzvah Hashem, keep me in mind so that I should be able to keep giving the shir in return as soon as I can to be giving it. Okay, so so tomorrow I won't be teaching, and then when I can, I'll get, you know, they're going to be someone else as a replacement, and Mitzvah Hashem, that person will continue until I'm able to come back to teach. Okay, so so let's try and give this. We'll give the shir today, and then Mitzvah Hashem, as soon as Hashem gives me the ability, we'll come back to the teaching. Okay, so we're continuing on. It's a different and it's under a different letter, but it's all dealing with the topic we were dealing with yesterday. We were dealing with the idea of the Yetzer Hara and the tension between the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. So he has a similar discussion under the topic called kofa. Kofa means to hold something down, to keep it at bay, to keep it in place. So the Peleh Yoetz starts out like this. He says, Kol Yetziras ha'adam ba'aretz. The whole objective, a very famous idea he brings down. The whole objective of man being brought into this world. In other words, why didn't Hashem just, if Hashem wants us, he could have just put us straight into Olam Haba to begin with. So he says the whole objective of bringing man into this world, Eino ela kadei sheyeh kofa es yitzro. A person should put all of his efforts to hold down on his yetzer, and derive the pleasure from that, all that restraining that the person put in, all that self-control that he put into himself during his life, he will derive the benefit from that in Olam Haba. V'yizken, he'll be zocha, l'chazos b'noam Hashem, to see the beauty of Hashem, u'levakar b'eichalot, to be in Hashem's palace. The man, the ochil, the lav delayed is the famous idea, right? Because if someone is going to enjoy something that's not his, boy, at least takal baba, you can't look at that person. You can't look at it. So therefore, a person wants to do it to such an extent that he wants to earn it, and it should become his. Because if you take something that's not yours, you can't look at it. Now, it's a very famous idea the Yerushalmi brings down, that how do you know if a tree was grafted? So he says, because if it's coming from another species, the fruit won't grow the leaves won't face the tree because it can't look at it. So the Yerushalmi brings down, it's Yerushalmi and Orla, that if the tree was grafted from another species, it's taking something that's not his, the leaves won't look at it. The leaves will turn away from that tree. So that's what he's trying to bring down. Obviously, therefore, we want to be able to earn our ability to be able to experience the beauty of the next world. The Mola Yetzer Hara, if there would be no challenge of the Yetzer Hara, lo haya l'adam schar tov, then there won't be any reward. In other words, the reward comes according to the challenge. Just as you yourself understand that if, the less, would you want to play basketball, let's say, and you'll win all the games, they'll say, for sure, why wouldn't I want to do this? Well, you're playing against 5-year-olds. You won't do it. You're not willing to play a basketball game against 5-year-olds. There's no challenge in it. There's no enjoyment in such a thing. So the same thing over here. It's only because the Yetzer Hara gives us that challenge that brings out the greatest in us, and therefore we'll be able to take the pleasure in the next world. Because if there's no Yetzer Hara, then we're like Malachim. There'll be no reason for you to come into this world. You're not gaining from being in this world. The neshama doesn't want to come into this world. The neshama gets no pleasure from this world. The only reason we're here is so that we should have the challenge of the guf. The physical in us should challenge us, and we want our neshama should become the dominant force within us to be able to hold down the drives of our physical. And then, so when we get to Olam Haba, we'll be able to experience the true spiritual pleasure. Hashem brought man into creation to give his honor. Shekvod Shemayim is Rabbi. When we fulfill the mitzvahs and we restrain ourselves, we practice self-control and do not give in to our Yetzer Hara, we are bringing kavod in Shemayim into this world. When a person holds down his drives, he does what Hashem wants him to do. The pleasure that we are giving to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is enormous. That men who have that inner strength within them, osi devaro, fulfill Hashem's desire. That the measures is brought down by people who keep Shemitah, that they're able to look at their field for an entire year and not have any idea where their parnos is coming from. They just look at it and they say, Shabbat Shalom. That's what it is. For a full year, they're keeping Shabbos. And according to the effort that one puts in, Torah, and how much it takes for his gabrus, how much discipline and self-control, Yetzer Hara, that you're able to hold back from your Yetzer Hara, the greater are you giving nachas ruach, famous idea, agra. According to the difficulty will come their compensation. So that's the first idea. Because of the Sefer HaChasidim is brought down in the Sefer HaChasidim, shall mitzvah achas, for one mitzvah, sheyitzro shel odem mizgarabo, if there's something that your Yetzer Hara is annoying you with, he's tempting you with that, he's trying to bring you into it. For tokfo lahaviro, it's working very hard to get you to succumb to doing that aveira, or not to do that mitzvah, to go against the Ritzon Kono, that you shouldn't do what Hashem would want you to do. Fu kofa es yitzro, and he holds back, he puts it down, he does it. Say the Daven Shachris, whatever it may be, and you're tired, whatever, you had a late night, and you don't want to get up, and Yetzer is driving you crazy to stay in bed, and what are you getting up for? And you're able to overcome that. Listen to what he tells you, the Sefer Hasidim promises you. Mekabel schar, you get the reward. Keneged meya mitzvahs, shein yitzro tokfo. It is the equivalent of 100 mitzvahs where there is no Yetzer Hara tempting you. Now this just by digressing just a little bit, this explains a very important Rambam. And the Rambam discusses in Hilchas Tshuva, when we want to know, where theoretically where are we standing in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says it's not an accounting, like you count how many averas you did the day and how many mitzvahs you did, and that's the way it works. He said it has nothing to do with that, because just like the Rambam, just like Sefer Hasidim is telling us this, the Rambam brings it down also. He says there's a possibility that one mitzvah can outweigh many averas, outweigh many averas. What's the reason? Because to do a mitzvah can come with great difficulty. To do for example, to sleep in 30 days doesn't take that much effort necessarily, right? You can come in, it doesn't take great effort, but to get up once require an enormous amount of effort. So that one mitzvah can outweigh all those 30 days. So one has no understanding or reckoning exactly where he's holding in the accounting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because we can't weigh it out that way. We don't know. So this is what the Sefer Hasidim is telling us over here also. If there's certain mitzvah that the Yetzer Hara doesn't want you to do, and you overcome it, you can get the reward of 100 mitzvahs that didn't come with that difficulty. And this is why Chazal tells us B'malkum shabali tshuva omdim, ein tzadikim gemurim yicholim lamod. In a place where balei tshuva stand, tzadikim gemurim are not on that level. Why is that? And then I want to tell you a very important idea, which is very fundamental. He says, "Lefisha kaven shem tzadikim demikara ein lehem girei hayetzer hara kol kach kamo balei tshuva." It's people who were brought up in a very committed home and with a great deal of appreciation for Torah and mitzvahs. The Yetzer Hara doesn't have that much on top of him, as much as someone who was a Baal Tshuva and had the enjoyment of certain things. And his hurgul ba'aveir is a kosher lehem. It's so difficult for them, livrosh mehem, to stay away from it. Capricious hatziporim min basar. The metaphor he's giving is like the ripping out a fingernail and the pain that it goes through. It's so difficult for him. So before I go too far, I would just want to mention something very important over here. Again, so he's telling me what? That's why it says that Balei Tshuva are on a level that Tzadikim Gemurim don't reach, because again, he's telling me Tzadikim Gemurim, they don't have, the Yetzer Hara is not that intense on them. Now, this is something that's very important to know. The Rav Dessler brings down that when a parent raises a child and brings up a child in an environment that is conducive to learning Torah and keeping mitzvahs, that is the parent's reward for that. Because the child is going through the mitzvahs, but he didn't fight the Yetzer Hara for that. In other words, each one of us has a certain entry level. When we reach adulthood, we are entering on, each one has a different entry level, depending on what the background was that one came from. In other words, the parent gave the child certain kochos. That's the parent's credit. The child pick up from there and go beyond. But that wasn't the child's work. It was the parent's work to make sure that the child had such a conducive environment. And therefore the child has to pick up from there. Now that's one thing I want you to be familiar with. And another idea which Rabbi Yisrael Salanter mentioned, which is very, very crucial, is that he says, imagine, I'm not sure how it fits in with this, but this is what I want to mention to you, is that Rabbi Yisrael Salanter mentions, let's say a person had a difficulty, kosher, Shabbos, learning, whatever it may be, had great difficulties with it. And he persisted and he persevered and he worked as hard as he could. And now it became doable. And the person enjoys it even. He can come to a point where he enjoyed it. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter says that every time the person does that mitzvah, he gets the same reward as it was from day number one. Why is that? He said, because how did it become easier? It's because all of the effort that you put in. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu credits the person every time he learns, keeps Shabbos, keeps kosher, puts on tefillin, whatever it may be, as if it was the day one with all the difficulties that he got. And we always hold the Fum Tzara Agra, which brought him an enormous amount of reward. So every time he keeps doing that mitzvah, he's getting that same reward over and over and over again, which is an unbelievable kindness that Hashem does. But he says it's because since you put in all that effort to reach the point that you did, then Hashem credits you as if it was day one all over again. So I want you to be aware of that. That's an enormous idea to appreciate. So he's saying over here again that Balei Tshuva are the ones that are, it's very difficult for them, and therefore their reward is on a much different level. Now again, but that's no reason why you shouldn't raise your children in a very important, in a Torah environment way. We have an obligation to give our children the best education we had. I once told one of my students, he was discussing how his child was struggling with Torah and mitzvahs. So I told him, I said, listen, we as parents, we cannot be guaranteed how our children are going to appreciate certain things, but it's obligatory on a parent to give the child the most conducive environment that we can that would potentially give him an appreciation for it. How the child will respond to it, that's the child's decision. We cannot, right? We know story upon story from Tanakh, all over Tanakh. The parents were certainly the best of the best. We don't have to mention any names over here. I'll just mention one cute idea. So the Kotzker Rebbe had somebody came to the Kotzker Rebbe, and he was telling me all about his Rebbe, and how wonderful he is. He says, listen, that he's a grandson of that Rebbe. So he's talking about his grandfather, the great Rebbe. He says, listen, he said, Esav also had a great Rebbe for a grandfather, So that's nice if you're ready to be the person you need to be. So anyway, so we can't guarantee it, but it's certainly important for us as parents to give our children every opportunity to become the greatest they can become. The Hinei continues over here, Kikain Ka'asher Mizgabrim al Yitzram, when a person is able to overpower his desires, Ki'ish Milchama, understanding that it's a war and he's prepared to fight that war. For Kofen es Yitzram, and they hold down their desires. Osem Nachas Ruach Gadol, we are giving an enormous Nachas Ruach to our Creator. V'yigdal Scharim, and their reward is unbelievable. V'zeh Perusho, and this is the explanation. Kad HaKadmonim Maimim Rabboseinu Zechron, they tell us in Gemara and Brachos. Gadol Hanena Miyagia Yoter Meyirei Shemayim. Greater is the one that takes pleasure through the efforts of his hands, more so than Yirei Shemayim. So he explains the Rotza. What does that mean? Gadol Hanenem Yagia, great is the pleasure of the effort. Sheyoga Harbe, he worked so hard, he put so much effort in it. Lichbosh as Yitzro, to hold down his Yetzer. Yosa, more so Mimishu Yirei Shemayim B'Teva, more so than one who by nature has a certain tmimus to him, a certain awe of the Creator. Greater is the one that had to put in such enormous effort to do that. Because someone who puts in that effort, Tov lo yoter lo olam haba, in the next world, he's going to be on a whole different level. So in a certain respect, we should be so appreciative of the Yetzer Hara that Hashem gave us, because through it, we're being given opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity to give nachas ruach to Hashem. And through that, we are able to derive the pleasures and the benefits of of what the tzaddikim get with all their good. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So we'll continue then. We have time for another paragraph, I'm sure. V'hinei, he continues in this piece. Chassid b'Sefer HaChasidim, it's brought down in Sefer HaChasidim. Shekol Aveira, Shetavo liyodo, any Aveira that the Yetzer Hara presents to one. The Yitzro Tokfo, and it's becoming very difficult. He's being tempted tremendously to give in. Yasim El Libo, what should a person do? We mentioned yesterday different ideas to try and push down one's Yetzer Hara. So we'll see what ideas he's going to give us now. Yasim El Libo, a person should think. Shim Hayagozim Alav Lahamir Daito. If a person would decree that you should convert, leave your religion, leave your belief, if that would be the choice one would have, if that would be the choice you have, either leave the religion, bevadai, there's no question. Shayamosin nafsho lemisa. Al-Davar quote Shema Yisbarach. In other words, if it would be the choice of leaving the religion or giving one's life, he said, a Jew would not do it, right? Famous story that, they asked somebody, they took out a Sefer Torah and they asked the Jew to step on it. He wouldn't do it. You can't do it. Wouldn't do it. Can't do it. It's just impossible. Can't do such a thing. So he says, "V'im lichbosh es yitzra hu yoter kasher umar mimoves." So then this is what he's saying. If I'm prepared to do that, a person should tell him, if I'm prepared to give up my life, al kvod Hashem, is this any more difficult than that? Can I not withhold my Yetzer Hara? Is that more worth than death? Can I do this? No, I have to put everything into its proper perspective. Just in another way, again, a bit of a digression also, again, when it comes to physical pleasure, most physical pleasures are extremely short-lived. It's very short-term. The amount of pleasure you're getting is for a very short amount of time. And if a person would put that into perspective, and as the Yetzirah, you're offering me an opportunity for a 10-second pleasure, but by doing that, I am betraying HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's my beneficiary, who does anything and everything for me. And for a 10-second pleasure, knows how could I be so small and to betray the Creator for a 10-second pleasure? Because that's all about these pleasures are. They're very short-term lived. Just by food itself. When is the pleasure? From the tip of the tongue to the back of your tongue. Once it's in your belly, you don't know the difference if it was a steak or a piece of bread. Your stomach is full, whether it was oatmeal or whatever else it was, whatever it was. You're not going to know the difference only for 10 seconds as it's going from the taste bud. That's it. It's over. And all other pleasures also, it's very short term. So I should just remind myself, for a 10-second pleasure, I'm betraying Hashem. How could I do such a thing? If a person thinks like this, he will have a great opportunity to be able to withstand the temptation. Al dvar konofer, to give cover to Hashem. And I realize by my doing this, I am honoring Hashem. I am proving Hashem how loyal I am to Hashem. We see with our own eyes. Shekamat kol Yisrael, every Jew. Becheskes ksherim, Jews are good people. Jews are good people. Shemosim, they give up their lives for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They're ready to do whatever it takes. Aval ein gam echad sheyichbo sheyitzru legamrei. But it's very hard, right, to completely overwhelm one's Yetzer Hara. V'tzadik ba'aretz sheyasu tov v'layekta klal. But in other words, there's no one in this world that was ever perfect, except Mar brings on a few that people that only died because of Adam Arishon sin. But be that as it may, there's no one that's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But Tamhu, why is that? How is it possible? If I'm ready to give up my life, and how is it possible that I make mistakes? So he says like this: But Tamhu lefisha limsor nefesh lemisa, for one person to give up his life, right? Lo yesh kol kach girui. There's not such a Yetzer Hara. Imitzad shavon hamar hadas, because on the one hand, to betray Hashem and to convert one's religion, a person won't accept such a thing. It's so foreign to the person. It's so disgusting in the person's eyes. Mashenken, other averas don't look that bad. The Yetzer Hara tries to make it. It's not as bad as all that. The Yetzer Hara always tries to minimize the avera. Yetzer Hara maktinos, and he's always doing that. He's minimizing the avera. It's not such a serious thing. Certain things that are serious, a person would never have a Yetzer Hara not to do. Like we say in the pasuk, "But call Yetzer machshavas libo rak ra." It's rak ra. He just makes it's just a little bad. Rak. It's not so bad. B'mitzad shechoshev shamisu kemat rega. Also, he says that sometimes a person will do because how long does the person go through it? So far, everyone's going to leave this world anyway. So these are reasons why we can see that a person wouldn't do this, but when it comes to other situations, it's much more challenging because the pain can be a longer experience of pain. And on the other hand, the Yetzer Hara is trying to minimize the extent of what the Aveira is. That's the difference. To hold down for other Averas, it's very hard for a person. It's always constantly chasing after you. And you get tired of it. The Satan's always there and he's always wearing you down. And he's always trying to get you to fall, and he's always trying to minimize the Aveira. And that's why, let me stand off on one idea over here. This Rav Shach had a very beautiful idea. The Gemara in Sukkah is going to bring down that when the Yetzer Hara is going to be destroyed, it's good. The tzaddikim are going to cry and the Rishonim are going to cry. To the tzaddikim, it's going to look like a big mountain, and to the Rishonim, it's going to look like a thread, like a small thread. So Rav Shach explained, what did that mean? So the tzaddikim who are always fighting the Yetzer Hara, how did they successfully fight the Yetzer Hara? Whenever the Yetzer Hara came to tempt them and always tried to do like the Sefer Hasidim says over here, he tries to rock. It's only a small thing. They made it big. They made it like a mountain. You're asking me to do this? that's a betrayal to Hashem. They would always build it up. And as the Yetzer Hara tries to minimize the Aveira, the tzaddikim always made it into an enormous thing. And they how could I do such a thing? It's betrayal. It's treason. And they made it an enormous thing. And therefore, that's how they were able to hold it down. Whereas the people who were not successful at it, right? They said, it's like a hair's breadth. It's a nothing. It's such a small thing. So it's so small. And that's why they succumbed to the Yetzer Hara. So these are some of the ideas that were in the middle of this piece. Hopefully, it's a very nice piece, and it keeps on going, and I certainly want to continue. And Be'ezrat Hashem, when I'm able to come back and to teach, I want to continue from over here. So again, please keep me in mind, and Be'ezrat Hashem, with Siyata D'Shmaya, I'll come back as quickly as possible. Have an amazing day, a wonderful Shabbos, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we will be in touch. Thank you very much. And
Before Shalema, and good luck on the procedure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Rabbi.
Be well.
Amen, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
What is?
Sorry?
Where does Sefer Hasidim know it's going to be 100 times? Why not 1,000 times? Why not a million times?
I guess he has a tradition. I don't know, where does he get it from? That I must admit, I did not see the Sefer Hasidim inside. I didn't see it inside. So I'm a second source. I'm quoting from from the Peleh Yoetz. I don't know. You'd have to check up the source. I don't know.
We're very sensitive to fake news these days. Just
okay,
kidding.
good. No, it's always good. It's always good to see exactly where the sources come from. You're right. You're right. I'd have to see it inside. I don't know. I must admit I didn't do my research. Okay.
What's the Ross full name?
David Zalman Ben Chaya.
David Zalman Ben Chaya. Before Shalema. Hope to see you very soon.
Thank you. Me too. Okay, very good.
Hey, Rabbi, thank you so much.
Before Shalema.
Amen. Thank you very much, boys. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. All the best.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.